Hello, YouTube. Welcome to what are we doing today? The FPL PubCast. I'm getting my names confused. The weekly preview stream that we're doing on the channel this season. Joining me tonight to preview Game Week 2, I'm joined by my regular co-host, Trig, the man formerly known as Triggerlips, Andrew, FPL Nightmare, and Roberto of the Form is Temporary podcast. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about, or commiserate on in most of our cases, last game week and our teams. We're going to have a bit of a chat about how we found the first weekend of having defensive contributions in FPL. We're going to look at Rob T's predicted points the next game week and also give our predictions. Then we're going to have a look at our planned transfers and moves for next game week. And we're going to then be open for a Q&A. So just before we start, let's have a quick look in the chat and see who we got in there. I'll say hello to Mr. Sinclair. Hello, Mr. Sinclair. Hello, Screaming for Vengeance. Hi, Case. Hi, Hippie. Hi, Paul, channel member Paul. Hi, Combe. I hope you enjoyed the little members only special video I did for you the other night. Hi, Claire. It's nice to meet you at Fest. Podner. Hello, mate. Hello, Steve-O. Yeah, okay. All right, so just before we start, a little bit of admin. All of the any money we raise through this particular stream this season in terms of advertising or super chats, anything like that, will be donated to two charities, Mind, who do a lot of great work in the UK in terms of mental health, and Street Child United, who do lots of work across the globe with homeless children. We would appreciate any super chats or anything, but it's even better if you can donate directly to the charities themselves, which you can do by using the links in the description below. Please do sign up for our PubCast mini league. We've got about 200 people in there. The league, I don't know, how do they usually promote the leagues, lads? Do we know? Is it usually like first couple of game weeks and then you stop promoting it?
Well, I think a lot of people tend to do it like up to the first international break because you don't want those like Tommy come late leagues.
Sneaky, yeah. Maybe we'll keep it open, but we won't promote it. But if you want to join our league code, please do so. The code is S3DHWZ. That's S3DHWZ. There's also a link in the description, which if you click on it, will automatically sign you up. Take you to the FPL website and automatically sign you up. And please like to get the stream out there. Please subscribe if you're new around here. And please hit the join button if you'd like to become a channel member. It only costs 99p and you get things like members only videos. All right, so we're going to start by going over our teams from last game week. So I'll read out the team and the points. And then I will hand over to our member of the panel. So I wonder if you can guess whose team this is. It isn't mine, ladies and gentlemen. This is FPL Nightmare Andrew. So he had Sells on 2, Nunes on 1, Milenkovic on 2, the Koipier. Have I finally said that right?
Yes. The Koiper.
The Koiper, getting nearer. Bruno Fernandes on 2, Palmer on 3, Verts on 2, Reindeers on 10, Saka on 3, Bowen captain, which I thought was a ballsy move, Andrew on 4, and then Watkins on 2. And then you've not got a terrible bench there. Dubravka 2, Strand Larson 2, Rondon 7, and Trig. Can you pronounce the name for me? Agbadou with 0. So, not off to the best of starts, Andrew, is it fair to say?
Do you think? I thought it was quite a good start, really, because now everyone's writing me off. Now everyone they've dismissed me a little bit, and now I'm in my preferred position of being the underdog, the Rocky Balboa fighting back against all the machines, all the algorithms, all the copycats of Ben Krellin, such as Big Man Bakar. I'm coming for them all. And but yeah, it was not a pleasant weekend.
Nice. Now I like the narrative you've crafted for yourself there to explain your rubbish game.
What else could you possibly do except turn chicken shit into chicken salad?
Right.
Analogy. A rotten banana into banana milkshake.
A little rotten banana.
We had my coffee before we went live because I'm just talking a bit. No, it was not a good start to the season. There's no denying that. But when you look at it, when you look at those individuals, you might say, oh, De Kuiper. But I don't think any defenders really at that price really did anything. I'm sure Roberto's got, oh no, but my random one did well. But this always happens. And Rodon on my bench was a bit of a shame, but the problem for me with my defense was Nunes, because he was meant to be the man that doesn't get subbed on. Yeah. And if he hadn't got subbed on, I would have got Rodon, and that would have been 7 points, and we would have been flying. Well, not flying, but maybe flying into a higher part of the wall. But that midfield and attack, I mean, what can you do?
Looks nice.
The only real risky player in there is the one that actually did something. Yeah. The rest of them are as dead cert as you could get, and they all did nout. So, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, Roberto, what do you think? Was Andrew unlucky, or is this a terrible team? What's your thoughts?
No, I mean, if we're really honest about this is a lot of good players, and you just had a bad week. It's just one of those where you just dust yourself off. You go again for next week, and got to hope you're not that unlucky in game week 2. But yeah, I mean, it was obviously a gamble going without either Haaland and also Salah, and obviously Andrews paid the price this game week. But you never know; it might be that they're both blank in game week 2, and Andrews, laughing when Saka and Bruno have both returned. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think there's some strong bits of this team. Maybe some of the defensive options. When you pick a City fullback, I think is always running a bit of a gamble. But yeah, as I said, some weeks it can pay off, some weeks it might not, and it's just not turned out too great for this week. But as Andrew said, it's an opportunity to rise above the doubters.
Right, to counter that, the Man City right back in that position scored 11 points. The one on the other side got 9 points. So it wasn't a risk to go for a Man City fullback. It was a good call. And then I've just got screwed by the roulette table. But this is what happens. This is the gamble you pay. And it would have been fine if he hadn't been subbed on. The other point I just want to come back on there is when you say I've made a mistake going without Salah, because have I bollocks? You got 8 points for £14.5 million. It's not a mistake to go without that. I could have gone with Gakpo for half the price and got the same amount of points. I could have gone with various other. I could have gone with Kudos for 8 million cheaper and got double the points. It's not a mistake to go without a 1 goal a week, £14.5 million man, who now you're going to feel obligated to captain next time out against Newcastle. And we'll get back to that later. And then the time after that against Arsenal, because why have you got a £14.5 million player if you're not captaining them? That is poor squad management.
Nunes never come off the bench then before?
He came off the bench once last season since switching to right back for 1 minute. So I assume it was some sort of time wasting thing. But apart from that, when he was rested, he was rested. I did all this research into this, all of it. It looks like a gamble pick, but it wasn't if the research had held, because he wouldn't have come off the bench and I would have got Rodon, and then that position 7 points, which is straight, perfectly in line with my strategy regarding Nunes. It's just that him getting subbed on that screwed me over there.
Trig, any thoughts on Nightmare's team before we go on to my one?
The team is fine. There's nothing at all wrong with it. Obviously, I wouldn't have Matheus Nunes, but apart from that, it's a good team, and it's far too early to say that Salah's a good pick at this stage and that he's not overpriced. And on a normal week, the likes of Fernandes, Palmer, Wirtz, Saka, for them all to blank in the same week, very unpredictable. And like Andrew says, the only risky pick was the one that actually got the points. As for the captain, it's as good a pick as any, I think. Just didn't work out. It could well work out that he captains Saka this week and overtakes us all. It's just far too early to say, really, isn't it? No need to panic. No. And take a -8 like you were going to do, Andrew.
We'll get on to that. Paul's saying he reckons.
Still might. Not ruled it out yet.
Paul's saying he thinks you should keep the same team and captain Saka. To be honest, that's probably what I'd do as well. Okay. Greg's saying he sold Verts to Reinders. I'm worried Verts is Modric 2-0. Well, I don't think he's going to be because of his record in the past league. We'll get on to that when we talk about our teams later on. So I am second bottom out of the four of us on tonight. No, sorry, actually. I have a special mention for our good friend Darius, FPL D Unit, who absolutely roasted my draft, didn't he, Trig? And
he did indeed.
And was trying to persuade me to wild card, yet at the end of the game week, he is actually, from my regular guess, second from bottom with a grand total of 37 points. So I just thought we'd call Darius out there. We can wind him up next week when he's back on. All right, so this is my team. I've got 43 points. Sells with 2, Anderson with 2, Morello with 2, Porro with 6, Anderson with 6, Fernandez with 2, Palmer with 3, Salah with 16, my captain, Verts with 2, Evan Nilsson with 1, Mateta with 1, and then I had Dubravka, Konza, Esteve, and GW2 on the bench. So, yeah, I was disappointed, but I mean, the front two, I expected not to get any points this week. I mean, it was disappointing that they were both booked, but they were playing Man City and Chelsea. I bought them in for the coming weeks, not this week. The midfield, yeah, I'm disappointed. I mean, Anderson, well, I'll get the rest of it. I'm not overly disappointed with. It was 1 week. The big kicker, of course, was when I can't remember who got the goal now for Brentford in the 80th minute. Thiago, that penalty. Without that, I would have been on. Also, Anderson only being 1 away from 2 defensive contribution points. I was 1 tackle and 1, penalty kick away from this being, 55, 56 points. So I mean, that was the one moment in the game week that annoyed me. But other than that, I'm not going to panic. I'm all right with this. Trig, I'll come to you first. Any thoughts?
No, it's a good team, isn't it? I'm not particularly as hot on Mateta as a lot of people are. I mean, I think they're playing today, aren't they? Tomorrow in the Conference League.
Already?
A lot of people seem to miss that Palace are playing Conference League this week and next week.
Be interesting to see
and
that.
Also, their players are leaving, so I wasn't as hot on Mateta as a lot of people, but he's obviously a good pick. And Evan Nielsen's going to be great this week, I think. So apart from not having Reinders, but you haven't got a crystal ball, have you? So
do you know? It's
pretty good. You would have had a lot of points in Sells and Murillo if it wasn't for that freakish penalty that they gave away.
Is that definitely moved then to Tottenham?
Not yet. No, he's playing apparently for Palace in the Conference League. So.
Really? They must be playing a full. Do you think him leaving will massively affect Mateta? I mean, I guess it guarantees he's on penalties, but it's going to be. You can imagine he's going to get less chances, isn't you?
You've got to think it affects the team, haven't you? Really?
Yeah. Andrew, any thoughts on my team, mate?
I think it looks all right. Apart from, I feel like I find it quite funny that Konsa's got more points than Anderson and Murillo when he got a red card. And I feel like that's a rule that a lot of people maybe were aware of, that you can still get the clean sheet after the red card. So it's actually quite a good one for that lesson for people to be aware of throughout the season, that you can still get the clean sheet if you are sent off. So that's quite a good one. But I think your team's fine. There's not really. I think Gooey isn't the greatest of signings now. No. But I mean, maybe you could do something where you switch him to a 7.5 million striker and sell Verts to King of Fulham, and then you've got that playing 4.5 million option on the bench, and you buy into that rotating front 3, 7.5 options a bit more. Solanke maybe. There's options, Wissa, if we ever sign him, although I'm just seeing now that Tottenham might come in for Wissa, which would be like, how many more kicks in the teeth are Newcastle going to get in this striker trace this summer? Maybe we should just sign Richarlison and we can all do the pigeon around the stadium.
Roberto, any thoughts on my team, mate? Before we move on to yours.
I like the midfield. I think the midfield is where this team is good outside of Elliot Anderson. I think you got pretty jammy with that assist because I don't rate him as a pick. And I know that, he's a DefCon monster, but I think he's just not going to get many attacking returns or DefCon points even this season. And Anderson, I don't understand that as from Fulham point of view, but I was surprised it wasn't the other way around and that they were the one conceding the last minute equaliser because Fulham so often do that. But yeah, I get, you like the look of him because of DefCon, but I just think a lot of those defenders, Porro, I like the look of. Murillo's a nice pick, and it is a shame with that Brentford goal. But yeah, you don't need to panic with this team. I just think maybe, the strike force, I think I'd want to have like a Chelsea or a Villa striker with those fixtures coming up. I just think that might be one that might hurt you in the future. But for now, this week, you got away with it. So wait and see on that. But not a bad team at all, mate.
Say hello to a few people in the chat. Hi to FPL Bailey. Paul saying solid start. It's going to be a long season. Yep, do right, mate. Screaming Friendly saying Anderson and Anderson teams just suck. Simple as that. It's like having Darius here. Claire is saying Eze's not going to move unless a suitable replacement can be found. Getty, who's a channel member, is saying 57 points. Not bad week. Goodmanson, 9-point, a highlight. Hi to Chris. Hi to Colm. Okay, all right. Let's move on to...
Just before we move on, just quickly, they are saying that Eze might not move unless a replacement, but they've had a bid accepted for... Is it Bin El Kanous or something from Leicester, the attacking fullback, the attacking midfielder who was briefly an option towards the end of their relegation season? And Spurs are weighing up whether to offer Richarlison as part exchange for Eze, so that would actually cover that. So I expect that move to happen.
That would be Visser coming in then if Richarlison's going.
Thank you for...
Richarlison's been their best player.
Thanks so much to Getty, who's just gifted 5 channel memberships. That's really appreciated. Thank you, mate. So I got that wrong. It's Roberto's team next. No, sorry. Trig's team next. So Trig is on 55 points. By the way, I'm not mentioning ranks yet. You can see Trig's rank here is 4 million because it's not really relevant until we get in a few weeks. I think for transparency, I'm about 7 million. So I'm guessing it's even lower than that. Right. So I'll read out the team. Sanchez with 8. Murillo with 2. Anderson with 2, Porro with 6, Palmer with 3, Salah with 16, Wirtz with 2, Reindeers with 10, Fernandez with 2, Pedro with 2, Strand Larson with 2, and then Dubravka, Esteve, Agbadou. I said it right?
Agbadou.
Come on.
Agbadou. Push pineapple, shake the tree.
It's an easy one to say.
Gooey up front. So... sort of a solid mid start for you, Trig. How are you feeling about this? Your start?
Yeah, I'm feeling relatively happy with the start. There's a couple of players I'm kind of regretting. Well, there's only one really, which is João Pedro, but that was my Chelsea bias coming into play. I'm not really happy with him, but I'll give him the West Ham game, and hopefully there's a big improvement. But the rest of the team looks pretty decent. I'm pleased I changed to Sanchez at the last moment from Sells, and nice little 8-pointer there. And you've moved off my team, Gary.
Yeah, because you want to see my team.
Sorry, mate. It was just...
Why?
I thought someone had just come in as
you always interrupt me the entire time.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right. Can I speak now?
Yeah.
Wirtz. A lot of people are worried about Wirtz. My initial thoughts were to take him out for Semenyo, which was a bit knee-jerky. But hopefully once a holding midfielder comes back and there's a bit more stability in Liverpool's play, then Wirtz might improve. It's very early to write somebody off after one match. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to try and wait until after they've played Burnley, at least. And my first transfer will probably be there's nothing this week. I did look at actually taking him out this week for Evan Nielsen, who I think is going to do very well against Wolves. Yes.
Could you say it again, mate? Because when you were talking about your transfer, then you literally dropped out. Your mic dropped out.
Oh, a lot lately, hasn't it?
Yeah, just did it again. Where was your transfer?
Yeah, I haven't done any, but if I was going to do one, it would have been João Pedro to Evan Nielsen this week.
Okay.
I think Evan Nielsen could have a big game against Wolves rather than Semenyo.
Hoping so.
But we shall see. And that's about it, really. It's pretty bog standard. I've been getting a lot of criticism on my channel for people saying I've got a boring team. I mean, I can't help picking the players that I think are going to do well. And, I'm sure I'll be having a few differentials during the season. But, if you pick Salah, this is the sort of team you have to end up with, isn't it, really? It's not a huge amount. I mean, I say to people, who would you have in your team, man? And they go, Semenyo. But, just hindsight Charlies, aren't they?
And the non-templators out of us 5, the unit and Andrew are the lowest. So, got to say that as well. Roberto, I'll come to you first. Any thoughts on Trig's team?
Yeah, it's decent. I think if without the Rangers return, obviously, a lot of the players almost in a similar position to Andrew's team, where there's a lot of players you'd think would return there, like Wirtz and Fernandez and Strand Larsen. When Gavardio was ruled out, I really did think that Strand Larsen would get a return. And Wolves didn't look too bad. They had the goal ruled out. That Man City's defense has always shown that sort of susceptibility to the odd goal. So I don't think Strand Larsen's an awful pick, actually. And, the fixtures coming up are a bit better. And I think also the Agbadu pick is interesting because Wolves' defense, I do think we are overreacting from that Man City game. It's the first game and it was such a tough fixture for them. But I think they could be defensively, quite decent these coming weeks. I think Kiana Hoover looked really good, I thought, against Man City. It's just a shame that they look like they've signed another right wing back now. But Agbadu could be decent and a nice little, cheap defensive option. And then, I quite like that defense. I think Murillo is solid and Sanchez, fair play to those Sanchez owners because I had a lot of people, saying he was a bad pick. And that Chelsea game, I did not expect to be 0-0. Maybe it should have been with the ruled out goal, but fair play.
Andrew, any thoughts about Trig's team?
I don't think he needs to rush to get rid of João Pedro. I know the reaction, he got subbed off and everything. He's about to play West Ham, so you at least give him that. And I don't know, I just don't see the rush. When you brought him in, you knew this was going to happen when they signed the lap as well. So there's nothing really changed. I'd be more interested in getting rid of Palmer. You can do a lot more with the money, and they're probably Pedro will probably outscore Palmer in half the time the way Palmer's playing. What a disaster he was to go for. I said it on my walk. Go on.
If I didn't have West Ham this week, I would have done Palmer to King and João Pedro to Haaland for a -4.
No, it's like I said on my walking video. If Palmer was called Enzo Fernandez, nobody would have him. But because it's 10.5 million. Like if you switch the players completely from January, nobody would have Palmer. But it's because of the 18 months prior. But there's nothing to go on that's justifying £10.5 million.
And the Club World Cup.
Well, that's it though. But it's friendlies against South American teams. Maybe they don't really matter. Who knows? Let's hope Palmer shoves my words right back down my throat at the weekend. I could do with it unless I get rid of him.
Trig, do you want to come back on any of that before we move on to Roberto's team?
Palmer, I think. He's a class player. It's just we don't know which position he's going to be playing in week to week. But I'm certainly not taking him out before West Ham, but he is now on a short leash.
Okay. Couple of comments we got here. Wade Wilson saying, Roberto's smug, never. And Screaming for Vengeance saying, hopefully young Roberto is even more smug than last time. And somebody else, I can't see who it was now, saying, Roberto, ruling it over the old fogies that he's on the podcast with. So let's move on to Mr. Smug's Team, he's on 58 points, so he's the top of the pile on the podcast hosts. Anyway, he's got Sells and goal with 2, Morello with 2, Porro with 6, Chalobah with 6, Salah captain 16, Verts 2, Mayo, who I think may have had quite a big influence on your GAMEWEEK rank with 15, Palmer with 2, Palmer with 3, Dewsbury Hall with 2, Watkins 2, João Pedro 2, and then Dubravka, Gui, Dorgu, and I always want to say whoever when I see this, or however, but it's Hoover, isn't it? Or whoever or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Roberto, I'm assuming you're pretty pleased. I mean,
yeah, very happy. When I saw us 3 points above Nick, that was the one for me. It made my weekend. No, in all seriousness, I'm very happy with the start. I think, it's very solid foundations. It's always good to start strong. Statement of intent, the cream rising to the top, and we're just starting as we're meaning to go on, really. So, yeah, I think with these players, I'm feeling good about my team. And long may this success continue. The likes of Trevor Chalobah, a nice little differential way into that Chelsea clean sheet. I'm very pleased with him because I saw a few people that had Tosin, and they were very, unfortunately robbed of a clean sheet, but with his injury. So I expect Chalobah to be nailed for long term. Got my Chelsea contacts that I got that confirmation from. So very happy with him. And also Semenyo was an absolute incredible pick. Very, very pleased with him. And now everyone's scrambling to try and get him. So it feels great to be in that position and have banked the price rise. Some people are getting excited about Reinders, but I think this is the guy we all need for game week 2. He's absolutely sensational. And then the Salah captaincy pick, obviously in another day, I'd have loved a bit more, but very happy with the 8 in the end because outscoring those Gakpo owners, and I think ultimately Salah's just the FPL king. So even on weeks where his fixture isn't great on paper, like Newcastle, I still expect him to do quite well. His recent record against the Magpies is very strong, and so very pleased. Obviously, the one sort of thing of this team which was a shame was that Thiago goal, because Murillo was looking good for his clean sheet, and Sells I don't think he's a thing to panic about. Goalkeepers are often not worth changing for a while, and I'm excited about Dorgu. I thought he looked really good against Arsenal. Very unlucky to not score. Looked very attacking at times, and had that shot off the post. So I think got some good options off the bench as well if I need them. So yeah, very pleased.
What's Chalobah's ownership? Do you know? He must be pretty low, mustn't he?
Yeah, it's about sort of 4%, if that, I think. So around that sort of percentage. Yeah, pretty happy with that because like Kukurea obviously did do well with 9 points, but he was just a bit too expensive for my liking. And I wanted to sort of put more of the funds in the attack, really. So yeah, pretty happy with that.
Just for anyone watching, I did hear that Tosin's coming back into training, so maybe possibly fit for the weekend. Nick, I'll come to you first, mate. What's your thoughts on Roberto's draft?
Yeah, it's not a bad team, is it? You got lucky with Semenyo, and
Sour grapes.
you would have actually been expecting a lot more points, I think, after that, wouldn't you? Because because you got all your points on the Friday night, really. And what do you think of Dewsbury Hall now?
I mean, I think he's there as a long-term pick. I don't think the blank is too much of a need to create panic, because yes, Everton didn't look great, but they're going to be pumped for that first home game against Brighton. Brighton didn't look great defensively at the weekend, and I was very pleased with how far forward Dewsbury Hall was playing. A lot of the times he was playing almost as that 10. So I think the positions he's taking up is good. And he is just like, he's cheap enough that you can bench him, so he's not like someone who has to start for you every week. But the fixtures for Everton are quite good, so sort of happy to have him as a rotation option. I think
my view is the fact that they lost 1-0 will probably mean the experiment with playing him up high isn't going to last very long. And I just think Everton look pretty toothless, and that price range, a lot of people have got Anderson, who's very good. Unlike somebody said here, he wasn't very good. I think that was you as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure
but
about.
He was the best player on the pitch, I think, for Forest the other day, apart from maybe Chris Wood. But we've got the likes of Reinders and that, and I don't see Dewsbury Hall keeping up. It's like you may as well have King there, I think, rather than it's just like a waste of $500,000. Have you got any money in the bank?
No, this team's got nothing in the bank.
So this is a problem. So it's hard for you to get away from Dewsbury Hall. But,
I wouldn't want to get away with him. I think he's worth keeping.
But Semenyo's obviously in fine form, and that Wolves match we'll see. I mean, it could suit him, but I think it's going to suit Evan Nielsen more. But I had Semenyo for long periods last season. He's pretty good value, I think. But yeah, good team.
Andrew, I'll ask you the specific question, but also if you've got any other thoughts on Roberto's team. Are we all knee-jerking on Semenyo? I mean, he wasn't amazing last season.
Have you brought him in, Lake?
I've not made any moves yet, no.
Neither's Trigger, and neither have I. So I don't think we are all knee-jerking on Semenyo.
No,
what I would say, I'll get to that in a minute, because what I would like to say is that it's lovely to see Roberto this happy. Like, it's, when your kid goes off to football training, he comes back and he scores a tap in at the back of the jumpers, and he comes home and he's acting like he's just scored the winner at Wembley, and everyone's dancing around, and he's so happy, and it's lovely to see. It's really nice to see Roberto think he's the king of the world, but serious FPL players will notice that Triggerlip scored just 3 points fewer and is very disappointed with his game week, and that's the difference. That's the difference. As for Roberto's team, I think we can all see the structural issues there. He's going to have to address them sooner rather than later. We don't need to spend too much time talking about it. With regards to Semenyo, I don't think Roberto got lucky there. I think we'll give the kid his due. It was a great pick. You look at Liverpool with the playing wingers at fullback and the Titanic at centre half, and you think, we could get in behind them with a bit of pace here. And Semenyo is as fast as they come. He's as greedy as they come. They'll shoot from everywhere. He'll shoot from everywhere. I think he's a good pick. I just worry that against Wolves, he might not have the space and the counter to be able to reproduce that form. Now, Semenyo, I wouldn't be rushing for him just because he did this last season. He's a very streaky player. He'll get a big haul and then he'll go 3 or 4 games and not really do much. Yeah. And I feel that was a lot of the people's frustration with him. You owned him, Gary, so you would know more about this than me from last season. But I always avoided bringing him in because there was no sort of consistency of performance. He was one of them where you'd sign him and you'd have to hold him through 3 or 4 blanks before he did something. And I don't know. I feel like his coming fixture against Wolves is... Well, from the face of things, it's as good as it gets, really, isn't it? I mean, they just got hammered 4-0 at home. But then you've got Spurs, Brighton, Newcastle, and then Leeds, who are looking a very solid defence on Monday night. And suddenly that run doesn't look quite as nice as it looked at the start of the season, when you think it's all greys and a couple of greens. So, But I think he's as good a pick as anyone. At that price range, you're not going to get returns every week. And I think you might as well get him for 7 million, then go up to a 7.5, really. Who else are you going to get? Morgan Rogers. Certainly prefer Semenyo going forward. But I'd also prefer Trigger's mindset going forward to young Roberto's.
Comment here I quite like... from FPL Hippie, Escape from Dewsbury Hall sounds like an Agatha Christie novel. Quite liked. And there was one other comment I saw. Where was it? I can't find it.
There's one from Wade. That was quite good.
Nasty Balls, great YouTube name, says he only got 33 points. You're with FPL Nightmare then, mate. What was that comment, Roberta?
Wade says, you have to give him this little victory. Being a Watford fan, he doesn't get to celebrate too much, which is true. It is true.
Right, so I just wanted to put this. I'm not saying I'm going to do this every week, but this is the current leader of the PubCast League. As I said earlier, you can join. The code is in the chat. But this is Greg Harrison's team, and I wanted to kind of put it up to just as an example of a team that did very well this week, and let me, you guys, see what you think about it, because I think this is quite an out there team. You know what I mean? Vicario with 9, Milenkovic with 2, Van der Ven 6, Neco Williams 1, Spence 6, Frimpong with 1, Reindeers with 10, Salah with 8, Fulkrog with 2, Watkins with 2, Haaland captain 26, and then a bench boost with Bizot with 7, Dewsbury Hall with 2, Wilson with 5, and O'Reilly with 10. So first of all, very well done to Greg. But I just wanted to sort of point this out. This is not a template team at all, is it? And it's sort of how a team that may not be structured, how many teams are, including the teams of us that are more template and those that are less template, can have a good week 1. You know what I mean? What do you guys think of that?
Well, I mean, I think this team is fair play for going all in on game week 1, but I hate to say it, Greg, but I feel like I've seen this team many a times each season where they go all out for the first game week and then it might just like drop until it gets to like 5 million. And come the end of the season, you'll always remember that team. You'll always remember that team for being top in game week 1. But then, you know, when you look at it and you sort of strip it back, it is triple Spurs defense, which away to Man City is not looking too good next week.
He's possibly planning a wild card there, which is why he might have done this.
That's what Farkley was saying. Yeah, this is a wild card 2 team. So right.
In which case it's really good, isn't it?
Well, in that case, yes. Yeah, definitely. Andrew, any thoughts on this team?
I think fair play to him. I like to see people try something a bit different and it pay off. He's gone big. He's done if it is a wild card 2 team, then fair enough. But I mean, some strange picks, that O'Reilly 10-pointer is, there's no precedent for that score, so he's got a bit lucky there. Bezo, great pick if it's a wildcard 2 team, because, Newcastle didn't have a striker and not many would have gone there. But, it is what it is. It's not going to last. We can't make any judgments on his season based on this team, apart from he's about to waste his most powerful trip in game week 2 to get an extra 40 points.
We assume.
And then, well, if he isn't, then all these extra points he's gained are wasted, aren't they? Because he's got an entire defence against Man City. He's got Frimpong against Newcastle, he's going to get a hiding, and he's got no midfield.
You can't say he's wasting his wild card though, because until you've played it, you don't know. You can. Wild cards are a double-edged sword. Whenever you play them, they can go wrong, and so using it in game week 2 is not a terrible thing.
I disagree, but I'm not going to argue with you about it, Trig, because I respect you.
All right, lads, let's move on. So before we get on to our plans for next game week, we're going to make our predictions in a minute. This is something I wanted to add in. So just to give credit, I'm assuming Tom's all right with me using this. This table is from FPL _Tom Hadley on X. Please give him a follow. He produces excellent tables. This is just, Craig, I want you talk us through this table. Maybe if people want us to include it and Tom's happy for us to, we could keep on including it. But just talk us through the table, and then I'm just going to generally ask you guys if what you thought of the first week of defensive contribution points in FPL first of all. But Craig, I'll hand over you to give us a chat through the table, mate.
Gary wanted me to talk about this. My eyes immediately glazed over because defensive contributions are not my favourite thing. But the one on the left just shows the player's average. And I assume he's going to update this every week. So it could become very good. At the moment, it's obviously a very small sample size. But it's very clear. You've got the points per game there on the left and the 10 plus hit rate, so how often they actually get them. And the one on the right's interesting, but really pretty meaningless at this stage. For example, for Wolves there, it says that any left back playing Wolves is now going to do really well on the defensive contributions, just based on what happened in game week 1, basically, where what's his face got the bonus. But what's his name? A Man City defender. I've forgotten his name. Is it Rico Lewis?
Not sure.
No. God, I'm terrible with names.
The new signing?
What's his name?
Ait Nori.
Ait Nori, that's it.
Nori.
Yeah.
Terrible, Peeps, terrible. Right, so
Has
but Ait
Roberto fallen
Nori,
asleep?
but Ait Nori was actually playing as a centre back, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
So Ait Nori was playing as a centre back. So it doesn't really, you got to be careful with data, haven't you? So it's that thing saying left backs against Wolves are going to be very good. But after we've had like 10 or 15 game weeks, we might well see patterns emerging on the right-hand side. The big question, of course, is that now Tom Hadley's joined Scout, whether all this will soon be hidden behind a paywall or not. So hopefully he does keep giving us lots of free content, because he's been absolutely fantastic over the summer in the content he's been producing, and it's no surprise that Scout have snapped him up because he's been doing some really good work.
Trig, I'll come back to you for your answer on this specific question, but Andrew, what I just wanted to say to you is, how did you find the first week of this being in the game, and did it change the way you were watching the game? Were you counting clearances from people like anyone you had in your team?
I would start by saying I can't believe Trigger, of all people, has just said it's boring talking about defensive contributions when he spent the last month talking about nothing but.
Don't get the content out there.
No, I mean, with regards to this specific table, I feel like what we're seeing is what was predicted. Van Dijk, Lacroix, Senesi, Tarkovsky, they were all very highly rated in the predicted DefCon points. Saliba, a lot higher than people thought Arsenal defenders would be. But of course, it's far too small a sample size to take any meaningful data from it in any sort of serious way, apart from it looks like it's going to, the people you think will probably get them will. Again, with regards to whether I was watching for DefCons, no, I wasn't. Because how can you keep track of it? You can't keep track of it. I'm not sat there with a tally chart.
Ben Krillin he's there with his spreadsheet entering in all the different things, I'm sure. Some people are.
This is why Ben Krellin finishes a lot higher than you do every year, Gary. And I would lay odds that Ben Krellin would beat you again.
Let's not spoil Trig's video. Roberto, go on, mate. Have you unfinished?
No, I was just going to say a quick sign-off line or something like, but I think, there's nothing really we can take from this at this stage.
So, Roberto, same question to you. What are your early thoughts, and did it affect the way you watched the games at all?
I mean, the fact that I literally fell asleep whilst Trig was talking about it is probably all you need to know.
It's Trig's soothing voice.
I'd love to say it was Nick's soothing voice that probably would be,
I think that's very
incredible.
Unprofessional, Roberto. Imagine if somebody came on the farm is temporary and fell asleep when you were rambling on for 10 minutes about nothing.
We know what to do on our guest appearances now, don't we?
The difference is, there's nothing that ever makes, that's why we don't cover DefCon on TFIT, because that for me, it's just, I just don't care. I just honestly think the game has well and truly gone when we're getting Excel spreadsheets and stuff like this up about, he's had 5 CBIT in this game, he's had 12. I just, FPL is all about goals and assists for me. It always will be. And for me, I just don't want to look into it. If a player gets extras defensive contributions and they get goals, then great. But if they don't, it's 2 points. It's really not across a season, sure, but I'm not going to be picking players for 38 game weeks. I'm going to be picking players for, bunches of game weeks. So in that time, they're not going to have such a big impact that I'm going to make it change the way I play the game. So, yeah, honestly, DefCon, it just completely, passes me by, and I'll just let it drift away like a balloon into the night sky, because honestly, it's not for me.
Do let us know what you think in the chat, by the way, and I'll come to you in a second. But same question to you, Trig.
Well, I haven't had any yet, but I nearly got some for Salah, but no, I mean, it's silly to ignore them, though. You can't ignore them. They're a part of the game now. You can't say FPL is just about goals and assists because it's now about defensive contributions as well. So if you ignore them, you probably ignore them at your peril, I think, because you have to take it into account. For example, this week I'm tossing up between playing my Fulham defender, Anderson, or playing Pedro Porro. Now, previously, of course, I would have played Pedro Porro, but now I have to take into account the fact that Anderson might very well get 2 defensive contribution points. So, you can fall asleep again, Roberto, but it's a fact, isn't it? I don't like it any more than you do because I don't like the new rules either.
But why would you?
The fact we have them.
Why would you prioritise the potential DefCon points over Pedro Porro's potential set piece points?
Well, because he's already got a higher percentage chance of a clean sheet, which ordinarily wouldn't be enough to make me play Anderson, but you also factor in the defensive contribution points does make a difference to his likely total, doesn't it? So you have to consider it.
I've started a poll, by the way, just asking the audience whether or not they enjoyed the first week or not. Sorry, did you have anything else you wanted to add there, mate?
No, that's about it. Just that I don't like them either, but we're stuck with them, aren't we? So,
yeah.
My general view on them remains the same after game week 1. I think you get your DefCon monsters for the bench because then they've always got a chance of getting some points, whoever they're playing against, if they're needed. But in your starting 11, you need to be prioritising the attack and returns because that's what your transfers are for. You don't transfer players to target DefCons. You just have them, on the bench. DefCons for sure, attacking returns for dough.
Exactly.
Let us know. So I've just got a comment here from Steve-O. Not once while watching the game did he look at players regarding DefCon. Same with Sky Fantasy Football. Any passing or tackle points are literally a bonus. Fair point, Steve-O. Yeah, okay. Right, let's move on to before we get on to our plans to game week 2, we'll go over the predictions. So the way I'm going to do this going forward, and I'll explain this to the lads beforehand, is we're going to look at, so this is from Rob T on X. I'm sure you'll see this table on lots of other streams. I'm going to read out the predicted goals and clean sheets, and then I'm going to ask for each fixture one of our guests to tell us whether they think they agree and what they think the score is going to be. So we'll start with West Ham versus Chelsea. So for this, and this is for anyone who's not seen this table before, it's projected goals and clean sheet odds based on spread bet data. That's right, isn't it, Trig? So the first game of the weekend.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, first game of the weekend, West Ham versus Chelsea. Predicted 1.03 goals for West Ham, 1.95 for Chelsea, with clean sheet odds of 14% and 36% for Chelsea. So Trig, you said you wanted to discuss this one. What do you reckon the score is going to be, and what do you reckon the odds? I mean, this is looking pretty good for Palmer and João Pedro, and it's like yourself, isn't it?
You'd hope so. But I have a feeling that the teams that lost in game week 1 are going to be the ones that show the most improvement this week. So I'm not, West Ham might not be as bad as people think, but I'm hoping Chelsea can get 3 goals at least. And I'm hoping that Esteval starts this one on the right-hand side, whether Nunes moves to the left or is dropped and Gittins starts on the left, I do not know. But hopefully Palmer is going to start on the right-hand side, because if he doesn't, I think even though it's only West Ham, he could well struggle for returns. But I won't be captaining him on that basis, especially as I have João Pedro as well. But what I really need is João Pedro points. Otherwise, he's going to come under a lot of pressure, I think. So I'm more worried about him getting points than Palmer. I don't really care too much if Palmer gets points or not, because a lot of people will be captaining him. So there's probably nothing to be gained by him scoring anyway from my perspective, whereas João Pedro could do me a lot more good, I think. So hopefully he starts. It's not a guarantee. If Maresca decides he wants to play a crossing game, then it'll be Delap that starts. So it's, it might be situational. But I think Pedro's going away to play for Brazil during the international break, and he's pretty sure to be rested after that. So they might just let him start until the international break, I think, and then maybe put the lap in after that.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I say 3-0.
3-0. Okay. So for the early, so you think you're basically underestimating him. Of course, with the it's always kind of underestimated, isn't it? Because it doesn't like to go for extremes. So moving on to the next one, early Saturday kickoff. We've got Man City at home versus Tottenham. Rob T's got 2.35 goals to Man City, 1.08 for Tottenham. Man City with a 34% chance of a clean sheet. Tottenham with a 10% chance. Roberto, I think we said you'd like to talk about this one. Give us your predictions and what you think. I mean, Man City, is Haaland essential based on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this game is really hard to call, but just because we sort of take the Game Week 1 results, City and Spurs, with a pinch of salt because of the opposition they were facing. As good as Tottenham were, that Burnley attack was very wasteful. They had chances, but they weren't clinical enough. So this will be a much tougher test for Tottenham's defence. And yeah, Man City did look a little bit open at times, and with how good Tottenham played in the first week, maybe they could cause them problems. So I think this game will have goals. The thing is, that'll be really interesting to see is how many goals for Manchester City, because this game they did lose last season and lose heavily, and they do seem to have a bit of a sort of bad record against Tottenham over the years. But I do actually think that City will probably win this one. But I would be very surprised if Spurs didn't score maybe 1 or 2. So I think maybe like a 2-1 Man City, as it's got, roughly on the predicted goals. I mean, yeah, don't be surprised if Spurs nick something from this game though, because they do like to go up against these teams and on the counter attack, get in behind that Man City defense. And if some of their attacking players like Solanke or Tell can click into gear in this game after such a great performance from Richarlison, they got a lot of good options. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. But I think with what Nick was saying about the decision to bench Porro, I'd still be starting him in this game. At the moment, I'm having that dilemma, but I think he could well be involved in this game.
Okay, interesting. So,
just before you move on, I would just quickly like to say that of the last 3 meetings at the Etihad, Spurs have won 2 and drawn 1 of them. So I would also factor that in to the equation, that Spurs don't really have any fear of Man City in the way a lot of teams do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So Bournemouth versus Wolves. Bournemouth are predicted score 1.9 goals, 2 goals basically. Wolves 1.3. Clean sheet odds for Bournemouth 32%, Wolves 15%. Andrew, I'll come to you for this one. We didn't say who was going to. Do you agree with this? What's your prediction? If you've got no great thoughts, by the way, do feel free just to give us your prediction.
I'm quite interested in this one. I think it's actually one of the most interesting matches of the weekend, because we need to know how that Bournemouth defence is going to hold up against a lesser team than the Liverpool attack. And we need to know how Wolves, their defence, is going to hold up against a lesser team than the Man City attack, but also how Jørgen Strand Larsen can produce against like a general team rather than one of the elite teams. Can he step up to the mark without Cunha and Aït-Nouri in that team? I think he can. I think he showed at the end of last season he doesn't need Cunha, and he in fact thrives without him. Whether he can do it against Bournemouth, they've both had a bit of a confidence-sapping defeat. Maybe Bournemouth can take a bit of a moral victory from scoring twice at Anfield. But I think it's an interesting game. I think Bournemouth will obviously be the favourites at home, but I think Wolves can surprise them. Wolves last season, I remember they went to Fulham when Fulham were highly rated, and they did them at Craven Cottage. And I think Wolves have got a sneaky away win in them against any team, except for perhaps Man City and Liverpool.
Okay. Just come back. I'm going to close the poll in a minute. So if you want to let us know if you enjoyed the first weekend of DefCon, do vote. Trig, actually, Roberto, I think, did you say you wanted to talk about this one, Brentford? So Brentford Villa.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, sorry, Nick. So Brentford goals predicted 1.28. Villa goals predicted 1.65. Clean sheet odds predicted for Brentford 19%. For Aston Villa 28%. So this one is one of the closer ones. What are your thoughts and predictions to this one, Trig?
firstly, every game on here is predicted to be 2-1 or 1 each. It's the same every week. So, like you said, it doesn't do extremes, does it? But
I mean, even Arsenal only 2.5.
Brentford Villa is interesting because Villa had the least creativity in game week 1 than anybody. Brentford were poor, but Damsgaard was out and a couple of other players are out. I think people are underestimating Brentford here from a defensive point of view. And unless Villa can up the creativity, then I think it's not going to be great for them. I mean, I think that 1.65 goals, I'd lean more towards 1 than 2, I think, at this stage. I mean, they've got Rodgers and Watkins, but outside of those two, there's not much creativity at all. And I can see Brentford being pretty solid. And they've just signed another striker, I think, haven't they? Visser's back in training with them, apparently. Whether he's going to stay there or not, though, is a different matter. But I think a chance for Villa clean sheet's quite high. But higher than 28%, I think, probably. But, yeah, I think it's a bit of a dour affair, this one.
Okay.
But quite close.
All right, so move on to Burnley versus Sunderland. I'm going to take this one, lads. Burnley predicted goals 1.28, Sunderland 1.13. Clean sheet odds for Burnley 32%. So that is the 4th highest in the game week. And Sunderland is at 28%. So I'm playing Dubravka and Esteve at the minute, lads. So I actually believe the clean sheet odds should be more like 50%. I think this is a nailed on 5-0 to Sunderland, to Burnley. Actually, I said I was going to hand this on to Andrew. Andrew, what do you think of my 5-0 to Burnley based on the form? That's got to be the way, isn't it?
I would say that Sunderland were a lot better than most people expected against West Ham. Like the first half, they took a bit to find the feet, but in that second half, it wasn't even close. Like they made West Ham look like a championship team, which some might say they are, and maybe that's why we should all keep Cole Palmer rather than selling him. But I was very impressed with Sunderland. I thought. It pains me to say, as I watch Sunderland go top of the Premier League table for an hour or two, but they're going to have no problem staying up at all. I think they're going to absolutely... They've taken a chance on a high transfer rotation. They've had a big turnover, and I feel like it's going to pay off in the way it did for Nottingham Forest when they first came up. Fair play to them, and they're going to thrash Burnley.
Okay, all right. So we'll come on to, I guess, the FPL game of the week in terms of focus, which is Arsenal versus Leeds. So Arsenal predicted to get 2.5, Leeds 0.7 goals, 46% clean sheet odds. So Arsenal are the highest clean sheet odds of the week, just 8% for Leeds. Roberto, do you want to give your thoughts on this one? I'm going to start a poll, by the way. How many Arsenal players will you own this game week? So I heard a lot of people saying they might wildcard to get 3 Arsenal in this week. What do you think about that, Roberto? And what's your prediction to the game?
I mean, I think watching that Man United game, it was interesting because obviously there was a lot of attention on it with the whole Gyökeres Sesko battle. And I'll be honest, from what I watched of Gyökeres, he took his time to get going, put it that way. I mean, to be fair, De Ligt didn't have the worst of games, so maybe that's something to factor in. It's very different going up against De Ligt compared to, someone like, one of the Leeds centre-backs. But I do think Arsenal will score goals here. It's just, I'm not so sure because every time we always look at these Arsenal good fixtures at home, we always think, do we captain a Saka? Do we captain an Arsenal player? Not very often that they go kind of crazy and go all in on big hauls. They often share a lot of the points around. So captaincy-wise, I think it will be a bit of a tricky one. For those that are wildcarding and free hitting just for the Arsenal players, I think I wouldn't because, ultimately they could get a win for sure. We know Arsenal can keep clean sheets, but how annoying would you be if you sort of dictated your chip strategy on Arsenal, hoping to get loads of attacking returns, and then they end up getting another 1-0 win. So, yeah, I expect them to win this game, don't get me wrong, but just don't know with that new attack whether or not it'll click in time for this game. You'd hope so, but as Andrew said earlier, Leeds did look quite solid on Monday night. Granted, that was Everton, so we'll have a wait and see. But I think Arsenal could score a couple here, maybe.
Just to get back to the DefCons one, because I didn't read that poll out. We had 47 votes. 57% did enjoy the first weekend, and only 42% no. So sort of disagree with us. Trig.
The big news is that Havertz has done his knee in and is out for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So Gyökeres's minutes have now shot up, I'd say. Whether he does anything with them or not is a different matter. Apparently, they are after another striker. Jackson is preparing himself.
Well, that is big news. Right, to stick with us for the minute. Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. I'll take this one. I'm going to go... Right, so Crystal Palace here are on 1.45 predicted goals. Nottingham Forest 1.18. Crystal Palace 3 clean sheet 31%. Nottingham Forest 23%. I'm going to say here, because I am desperate for Nottingham Forest to do well, and also I just want to do a little bit different. I'm going to go against the odds. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Nottingham Forest. I reckon Eze will, the Eze, whether he's left or not, or the rumours are going to get to them. And Forest are on fire last weekend. They've got to keep a clean sheet for me, lads. They've got to keep a clean sheet for me. So I'm going to go 1-0 here. Andrew, I'll come to you for this one, mate. Everton versus Brighton. So this is the closest game of the weekend, I think. Everton.
Do you think?
According to the odds, well, I'm not calculating. Everton 1.23, Brighton 1.43 predicted goals. Clean sheets 24% Everton, 29% Brighton. What's your predictions for this one?
Well, I think if we look at the odds, it's actually a lot closer in Burnley versus Sunderland rather than Everton versus Brighton. So that would be my first thing. But I don't think it's going to be close at all. I think Brighton are going to smash him. I think Yankuba Minter, he's due a goal. Jorginho Rutter is going to strike one, a dagger in the heart for all those algorithm acolytes who follow FPL review blindly. And I think Everton 3-0 defeat at home in the first game in the new stadium. And people are going to be asking whether David Moyes is the man for the modern era yet again. Like what happens every season with David Moyes. He always starts poorly. People start questioning him. And then by the end, he'll have remembered how to grind out drab victories and draws. But yeah, I think Brighton 3-0.
Okay. So Fulham, Man United, we've got Fulham 1.3 goals, Man United 1.6. Clean sheet for Fulham, 20%. Man United, 27%. Trig, we'll come to you. What do you think for this one, mate?
It's a tricky one, this one, isn't it? This is the one that Man United have to win. It's all very well losing 1-0 to Arsenal and saying you played well. But this is a game where they really need points. Otherwise, all the old doubts are going to resurface. They've got a very fragile ego at Man United, and it's only going to take 1 or 2 defeats and the pessimism will be back again. What we really need is Fernandes to do something, of course. But I'll go 1 each on this one, I think. I can see Fulham aren't too bad, so I'll say 1 each.
Okay, right, so our final game, which obviously I'm going to have to give to Andrew, and I'm also going to use it as an opportunity to go to the powder room, because I think he might go on a bit of a rant here. Newcastle, of course, me and Andrew's team versus Liverpool. Newcastle 1.43 predicted goals, Liverpool 1.9. 15% chance of a clean sheet for Newcastle, 24% for Liverpool. Take it away, Andrew.
I think it'll be a good game. Next. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I think if you're wanting to put your money on this game and you're putting anything on Liverpool, you are absolutely deluded. Like, this summer has been a disgraceful performance from Liverpool and their conduct towards Newcastle. And on Monday night, the chickens are coming home to roost. They're going into St. James's Park and it is going to be feral. It is going to be a bear pit. And the kickoff's going to happen and Joe Linton's going to knock somebody over within 5 seconds. Liverpool are not equipped to handle what is coming for them on Monday night, and I predict 5-0 Newcastle. It is going to be a massacre. This is payback. You laugh, Roberto, but you would have laughed 29 years ago if Newcastle, after getting beat 4-0 by Man United in the Charity Shield, you predicted they would beat Man United 5-0 in October at St James's Park. But what happened? Newcastle got their vengeance. Newcastle did them and turned them over. And that, like, what Man United did was far less egregious than what Liverpool have done this summer. Liverpool are a disgrace, and they're going to get punished for it on Monday night. They are going to get bent over by Joe Linton and have their bottoms slapped.
Can I just say in the chat?
Is Wirtz allowed to score a consolation goal?
Wirtz won't play. They're not going to risk him. Like, Wirtz will be benched. Somebody said earlier, who's getting dropped from that Liverpool midfield? It's going to be Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai in the middle and Gakpo start on the wing, because that is not the game you want to introduce Florian Wirtz to an away Premier League match this season. You maybe bring him on towards the end, but you don't start him, because if Wirtz starts, he's not seeing out the game. Like, it could. I'm not exaggerating when I say if Florian Wirtz starts on Monday night, Joe Linton could completely alter the direction of his Premier League career by the destruction that will be wrought and the vengeance that will be brought upon Liverpool on Monday night. 5-0. I'm telling you.
So Newcastle down to 10 men after 5 minutes, and convincing victory for Liverpool.
No, Joe Linton is the master. Joe Linton never gets sent off. Joe Linton grabs people around the throat and throws them to the floor, and the referee says, "Jog on, pal. You're all right." Joe Linton it's like D-Unit's card, always seems to get the right call. Well, Joe Linton has the mystical aura of avoiding red cards when he should get 6-7 red cards a season, and he gets none. He barely gets booked when you consider what he's up to. Joe Linton knows how to toe the line, and it's going to be one of them atmospheres where the referee is too intimidated to give against the home crowd. And you do get them in football. People look at the spreadsheets, people look at the data, but they always overlook the emotion. And St James's Park is one of the most emotional stadiums in the country. And when it is as passionate as this, you just want to watch out. And Liverpool want to watch out. If I was Liverpool, I would send the reserves and just take what's coming.
Question for Andrew. Andrew, when do you think was the last time that Newcastle beat Liverpool in the Premier League?
The last time Newcastle beat Liverpool was in about 4 months ago when they hammered them in the cup final, dominated the match with
Premier
Joe
League,
Linton. We've sod the Premier League. It's football, Roberto. With Joe Linton absolutely monstering them. And you think how much that match meant to Newcastle. What on earth do you think Monday night's going to mean after all these shenanigans this summer? And and another one for you, Salah. You say Mo Salah is essential. What the hell did Mo Salah do at Wembley against Tino Livramento? He did absolutely nothing. And who's he up against on Monday night? Tino Livramento, fueled by 50,000 irate Geordies. If I was Liverpool, I wouldn't risk playing Salah. That's all I'm saying. I would avoid the big names because there is vengeance. However, I do think it might be 5-1 and Ekitike gets a goal just because of the narrative. But punishment is coming. Punishment is coming, and Newcastle will have their vengeance in this life or the next, and it will be this life on Monday night.
That's funny because I seem to remember the last time Salah was at St James's Park, he got a brace, and the last time Newcastle beat Liverpool in the Premier League was 2015 for those fun fact fans out there.
Ouch.
When was the last time Watford played in the Premier League? Because nobody can remember.
We beat Liverpool only a few years ago, to be fair. So,
lads, right, I'm going to see if you're surprised by our poll results, right? So Arsenal, 0 people are going to be 40% are going to own 0 players, 39% 1 player, presumably Salah. 2 players, 9%, and 3, 13%. Are you surprised by that at all? I'm guessing the people with 2 and 3 are going to be wildcarding. Would you, or 3 hitting?
I'm not surprised because Arsenal's fixtures are so awful apart from that Leeds match, aren't they? So, That's why none of us have got them, really. I mean, it's a bit of FOMO, isn't it, not having them, I guess. But, you know, the people that went without Salah, this is a week where they need to demonstrate that going without Salah or Haaland was a good idea. Because if it isn't, if Arsenal players do nothing, then it's a big kick in the head to all those people that went without Salah or Haaland.
Yeah, just give a shout out to the Double Pivot podcast, who do check them out. They're in the Shane and Kieran, of course. I'm not sure who is in the chat, but do check them out. Shane was excellent last week. All right, lads, let's move on to our teams. Starting with, I think I put these in the same order as last time. So starting with Andrew, FPL Nightmare. So I'll read it out, mate, and then I'll ask you what you're thinking about. So Sells in goal, Matthias Nunes, Milenkovic, the Kuiper. Did I get it right?
Just call him Maxim. Just call him Maxim.
Yeah, that's it.
Fernandez, Palmer, Weiss, Wirtz, Reindeers, and Saka in midfield. Bowen and Watkins up front. Dubravka, Strand Larsen. I said it earlier. And Rondon in defence. So what are your thoughts, mate, for the game week?
Well, this is the problem I have, because I'm weighing up the hit to get rid of Palmer, but I'm also looking at that and I've got such a benching dilemma, because who do I bring Strand Larsen in for? And it's probably going to be Wirtz, let's be honest. I'm going to allow my heart to overrule my head, which we all should do a bit more of in this game. But also, I don't think Wirtz is going to get many points, because if he starts, he's not making it to 60 minutes. And if he comes off the bench, he's not scoring or assisting anyway. So I feel like Strand Larsen over Wirtz is where I will go, but I do feel King and Haaland in for Bowen and Palmer is a transfer I am primarily considering. I do have another one, but it's not a fully fledged idea just yet. Although if you watch me walking videos, you'll know exactly what it is. But from a serious people watch for advice thing, the big debate is Palmer and Bowen or King and Haaland, and then Strand Larsen with King on the bench. And I mean, I can see merits to it, because the big risk is
is King a midfielder now then?
Yes.
Right, I didn't realise that. Okay. Well, he used to be a forward.
No, it's a different
all right,
game.
Andrew. It's all right, Andrew. He doesn't play this game. He just looks at me.
Gary doesn't watch football, so we need to tell him.
These podcasts are 5 hours a week of Gary blagging that he watches enough football to know what he's on about, just so he can chat to people he likes.
We did entitle this one Palmer out. So you are thinking Palmer out strongly then, based on the week.
I think it's the big debate of the week. If you don't have Haaland, do you sacrifice Palmer and get Haaland in for, like, I mean, I could probably get up to Dewsbury Hall, or I might even, if I take in -8, I could get Anderson, but I don't think a -8's on my agenda. So the question is, do we take that hit for Palmer? And what goes through my mind is that it's West Ham who were abysmal, and all he needs is a penalty. And if he gets a penalty, then Haaland needs 3 returns to justify the hit this week. And if he does get that penalty, then it's a mistake. But if he does get the penalty, is it going to put you off getting rid of him next week when you could do it for free? And maybe it's better to just bite the bullet and get rid of him, because what have we learned? That Maresca does not build his tactics around Cole Palmer thriving in an FPL sense. So that is the big dilemma. I think I'm going to wait another week with Cole Palmer. I think I'm going to back him against West Ham, and probably Bowen against Chelsea as well. Because that's the other thing. It's really, for me, to bring this back to my team, it's a choice of who do I want to start, Palmer and Bowen, or Strand Larsen and Haaland for a -4. And it's West Ham, the crap. And Bowen is so consistent. And yeah, he didn't score at the weekend, but he probably will in a London derby, you'd have to think, especially at home.
You've already got a good captain this week, though, in Saka. So it's not like you need Haaland for the captaincy this week. So
Yeah, that's
I'd consider a bench boost too if I were you.
You would. My bench boost is in game week 15 trigger. I made a whole video about this. Wildcard 13, bench boost 15, free hit 17, and triple captain 19. I've got the plan.
I've started a poll to see if you think Andrew should go through with his -8. I mean,
I'll probably do the opposite because I will not be bullied.
But the cat generally seemed to like it, so I wanted to see people who aren't talking. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I would wait another week with Palmer at West End. That screams to me regret come Sunday or Monday. Roberto, would you do that move?
No, I'd as Andrew was saying, I'd stay patient. I mean, it's game week 2. You know, we've picked these players. You know, we're going on about how Wirtz might not even start, but if you thought that, you know, going into game week 1, Andrew, that he might be dropped in game week 2, you probably shouldn't have picked him. So I think just leave it. Like you pick these players for a reason. So it's worth just kind of keeping faith in the process you had in pre-season.
Yeah, but I need to bench someone this week, so it might as well be Wirtz.
This is the issue. Like, it's a great team, but I think
who would you bench? Who would you bench instead of Wirtz? Bruno Fernandes against Fulham, Palmer against West Ham,
probably
Bowen against Chelsea. Bowen
It is a tricky
at
one.
home. Bowen
Yeah,
at home
just
to Chelsea in a London derby.
Chelsea got a great defence.
No, they haven't. You're doing your thing that you do where you start like trying to manifest nonsense into reality just because you own these players. They don't have a great defence. They're missing one of the best defenders. Fofana, whatever's going on with him at the minute. Chelsea are not a great defence. They've got bloody Robert Sanchez in goal. He is the tightest bramble of goalkeepers. He is a mistake waiting to happen. And you know, like, will he even start? You know what they're like.
I just feel like West Ham, you know, their attack is a little bit sort of low on confidence, and I don't really trust, you know, the likes of Fulkrug.
Confidence.
Roberto, I want to bring in Nick. Would you do that -8, Nick?
No, I wouldn't because I support Chelsea but he's got Saka as a captain as well. But I have looked at it myself, and I don't think Andrew needs to worry about Palmer getting a penalty because that had to pay for itself over multiple weeks, not just 1 week. It's not all about this week.
Yeah, but I could make the transfer free next week. That's the thing.
Yeah, could you still afford it after Haaland's gone up in price? And
I believe I'd have 0.5 million left in the bank. So
I think we're all going to want Haaland in game week 6. So
this is it. It's like if I want him in game week 6, at what point do I bring him in? And is it this week? Do I just bite the bullet and say I've got it wrong? However, what I will say is I'll tell you my other transfer in mind. I will tell you, and it's Florian Wirtz to Anthony Gordon captain.
Yeah. I was about to say, Andrew, the fact you think 5-0 against Liverpool, I was surprised you didn't have a Newcastle player. So
that's insanity. That's insanity.
No, that's not. That's okay. It doesn't cost a hit. No, I think that's all right.
Leeds in game week 3.
Playing a striker too, won't he? Playing a striker.
Playing a striker, Leeds game week 3, Wolves. Like, you've just watched Semenyo score 2 goals and 15 points against that Liverpool defence. And now Frimpong's got a bit of a tight hamstring. He'll probably have to play anyway because Bradley's injured. And you're really thinking Anthony Gordon and all his pace plus penalties is a bad shout in the feral bear pit of St. James's Park on a Monday night under the lights? Really?
Right, we'll go on to my team and I will give my response in that discussion. By the way, I'll end the poll now. We've had 43 votes, 63% saying no to your 62% saying no, 37% saying yes to your -8, Andrew. Okay, right. My team, Dubravka in goal, Anderson, Morello, and Estevez in defence, Anderson, Fernandes, Palmer, Salah, and Wirtz in midfield, Evan Nilsson and Mateta up front. On the bench, I've got Sells, Poro, Gahey, and Konza. So my original plan was to bench boost this week, although with Darius ripped apart in our lock in on Saturday. I mean, I'm not going to bench boost now. You know, even I could replace Konza. I mean, me and Steve were talking about it earlier with Dorgu, I think he recommended. I think Review recommends that's the best replacement as well. But I can't do it with Gay, can I, on the bench? He's not going to start, so I can't bench boost. If I had a 4.5, even if he was only going to get a point, I probably would do that. But yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's a waste of a transfer just to get Konza out. So I'm going to roll. I'm going to, I've been playing this game for my 11th year. My players have decent enough fixtures. It's not perfect, but I'm just going to roll. I think the 2 transfers are worth much more than taking 2 free transfers next week are much more important to me than taking a hit. Particularly if you, like you said, Andrew, if I want to get someone like Haaland in. Nick, I'll come to you first. What do you reckon? What would you advise me to do with this team? Do you think I should be starting Dubravka and Esteve for one?
Yeah, Esteve certainly you should be starting. I don't know about Dubravka and Sells. That's probably a 50-50, isn't it, that one? Depends how comfortable. Either way, you have to do a double up in defence, though. So, yeah, you may as well stick with Dubravka. I mean, that's obviously what Reviews recommended you do, isn't it? Stick to that order. So,
yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, they're all pretty close, to be honest. I mean, Porro, he could get signed against Man City again.
He could. I mean, Roberto would be saying you should be playing Pedro Porro ahead of Anderson. But, yeah, good-looking team. I think Evan Nielsen's your big pick this week. It's going to power you through.
I prefer that I've got him than Semenyo. I mean, it might be on penalties. I prefer having him in my team. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree.
What do you reckon, Andrew, to my game week?
It looks fine. I mean, I think we've discussed the whole Anderson Porro thing with triggers, so there's no point retreading all ground.
No.
I like your attack, except you've got Mateta versus Murillo there. So I mean, maybe I don't know. There's something you can do there. Maybe you could start Pedro Porro over Murillo. Why not? They didn't get any DefCons last weekend, did he? Big man Mateta scores. Is Murillo going to even get any DefCons? So yeah, at least with Porro, you've got the chance of a free kick. You've got no players.
Palace have Conference League too, so that should help Forest a little bit, I think.
Well, then maybe you should drop Mateta for Pedro Porro. Maybe Gary needs to bite the bullet and make a choice rather than trying to hedge bets. This is the sort of play I'd expect from Roberto, personally. The safe option. Like, why not start Gooey? I suppose you've got double Burnley. But, I mean, why are you backing... What gives you the confidence to back double Burnley defence against a team that have just monstered West Ham 3-0?
Well, I mean...
He hasn't got much choice.
I haven't got much choice.
Well,
I mean,
he's got Matt Sells there. He could start Sells over Dubravka for one.
Yeah, I mean, the goalkeeper, yeah, but a Porro against Manchester City, to me, against Esteve. I mean, I've heard Steve said he reckons Esteve is going to do very well for defensive contributions. It's one game week. You know, that Sunderland West Ham game could end up just being complete fluke, a complete, rabbit out of the hat. And, I've just got to back it. I mean, I would have been bench boosting this week. That's why I've got them in. I'm not bench boosting now. I've got to stick to my guns, basically.
Honestly, Gary, the more I look at this, the more I think you need to wildcard.
You got Darius.
I agree.
It's hideous.
All right, let's skip Roberto.
Both Andersons.
Let's skip Roberto then. No, we're not exactly. Roberto, any thoughts? About having Darius, it's like flashbacks to Saturday night.
Yeah, to be fair, Darius, kind of got the message along to Andrew about the wildcarding potential for you, Gary. But yeah, look, I like I like some of this team, but I just feel like that Spurs game will be high scoring, and if Spurs get a goal, the odds are in some way, shape, or form, Porro's often. I mean, he's on my bench at the moment, but I'm having that debate. I think I probably will start him. So I would play him over Anderson, and not Anderson with an E, Anderson with an O. Because if you're going to back against, if you're going to go for Mateta, he's going to lose that clean sheet point, Anderson, if Mateta does well. And I'd play Porro over the Fulham Anderson, maybe if you're feeling that Forest game, because of the Conference League, could affect Palace. But I actually prefer, playing a forward at the back in this team, I think, because I understand Esteve, as you were saying, Sunderland is a good fixture despite the first week result. So yeah, if you're feeling fruity, I don't mind switching to a back four.
I think if I could just interrupt there, like, do we know who's on penalties for Spurs? Because Pedro Porro absolutely buried one in the Super Cup, and if the other option is Richarlison, I'm not convinced Pedro Porro won't be on penalties. So that might be something worth factoring into. Also, we're all completely overlooking your captain, Gary. We've just established to getting beat 5-0. You're going to have to find a new one. I would go with Evan Nilsson for your captain. Against Wolves at home.
It's not a bad shout, Evan Nilsson as captain, actually, is it?
It would be a non-review decision. Maybe people like Hippie would stop calling me Garview then.
God, live a little, Gary. Live a little.
Agreement for Vincent Anderson. This team should be banned. And animations, even though someone actually on my team. Up the Evan Nilsson. You've got him too. Yeah, Evan Nilsson is going to be the hero. Maybe people think I should captain him. Right, let's go on to Trig's team. So he's got Sanchez in goal, Morello, Esteve, and Porro. Palmer in defence. Palmer, Salah, Wirtz, Reinders, Fernandes in midfield, and then Pedro Porro. Now Pedro and Strand Larson up front with Dubravka, Anderson, Abadu, and Gay on the bench. Trig, talk us through your thoughts on your moves and for this game week. If you're going to make any.
Yeah, my initial thoughts were doing Wirtz to Semenyo. That was last Friday, and I went off that idea pretty quickly. I'm waiting for Eze to go to Tottenham, and then if Wirtz is still no good, I will do Wirtz to Eze in a couple of weeks, I think. But João Pedro was the one I was considering removing for Evan Nilsson. But I've pretty much decided now I'm just going to stick, because I would have been really annoyed if João Pedro does do something and I'd sold him. So there's nobody in this team I think needs to go, and savings the most sensible thing. I'm in the same boat as you, Gary, except I've got the choice between Sanchez and Dubravka, and I've just gone for Sanchez because he seems in good form. And Roberto's worried about Sanchez making mistakes, but Chelsea have now changed their defensive strategy. They don't no longer allow Sanchez to do all these little kicks at the back. He's now going long quite a bit, and it's being a really effective tactic, kicking it long to the wingers. So he's even going to get an assist before the end of the season, Sanchez. But I'll probably start Anderson over Pedro Porro.
Okay. Roberto, what do you think of Trig's team? Should he be making any moves?
Yeah, I think the way that you've set up this lineup, Nick, is optimal, to be honest. I think, I wouldn't be playing Anderson or Agbadu. I think the goalkeeping situation, I think, as you said, Sanchez did look good in the Club World Cup. And I have got more confidence about Chelsea defence than at the start of the season. And I think Dubravka, it could be a week where we regret not playing Dubravka, because although Sunderland were so good, it is Burnley's first home game, and Turf Moor is always a tough place to go, especially for a fellow promoted side. And the amount of clean sheets Burnley did keep last season. I know this is a new goalkeeper, but the defence is still very much similar. And you've already got a Esteve there, so I understand playing Sanchez. Don't want to hedge your sort of bets. You want to hedge your bets a bit, and you don't want to go in all too much on putting your eggs in the Burnley basket. I think that the way you set it up, I would potentially consider, if you do think that Salah might struggle in that game, maybe go for a differential captaincy like a Reinders, because Spurs, I think.
Oh, no way.
He could concede. Spurs. They could concede a few. And Reinders,
You're on the wind up here, Roberto. You're trying to.
You'd never captain Reinders in a million years.
I don't have Reinders. I don't have him in my team, so I couldn't captain him. But for those that do, I don't hate it.
If he was top of the poll, I'd captain him, but he's not.
These are the mind games of a man who's worried about only having a 3-point lead over the legendary Nick Triggerlips.
No, the idea, Andrew, is we're going to try and throw a lot of stuff at the wall, and eventually some of it will stick. So we got it.
And a lot of shit at the wall.
Andrew, your thoughts on Trig's team?
It's fine.
Fine. Yeah,
It's fine. I have actually, which is going to surprise me, but I seem to have more faith in Joao Pedro than Trigger does. I would consider him for a captain. West Ham are terrible. And like you're talking Mo Salah, like leaving aside my bias, let's look at this objectively. What did Salah do against Tino Livramento at Wembley? Nothing. He was anonymous, absolutely anonymous. And that's who he's up against. So why would you captain
This game's
him?
not at Wembley, Andrew.
No, it's at St James's Park, you divvy.
That's what I'm saying. And he's great at St James's Park.
He was great against Lewis Hall, who isn't going to be starting at left back. It's like, I just don't think Salah's a good captain this week. I think, Fernandez against Fulham's probably a better one.
Yeah, I don't
Strand
know
Larson against Bournemouth. Palmer.
So this is why I was considering doing Palmer to King and João Pedro to Haaland and putting because I think Haaland's going to score this week, but I've got no confidence in anybody else scoring in my team. But I do have confidence that Haaland's going to score. So that's why I thought about doing the -4, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I can't do that to Palmer. So
just sell Salah for him.
Yeah, but that's not for another few weeks yet. I mean, Salah's got Burnley in a couple of weeks. So.
Well, but if you sell Salah for Haaland, you've got space for Ekitike and Frimpong.
Well, let's get on to the.
This is true. I didn't even consider that actually.
Let's get on to the cheeky youngster Roberto's team, who has got the Bravka in goal. Great goalie there. Morello, even though he was trying to convince me to start sells over the Bravka. Morello, Chalobah, and Dorgu in defence. Wirtz, Salah, Semenyo, Palmer, and Dewsbury Hall in midfield. Up front, Watkins and João Pedro with Sells, Porro, Hoover, or however you say his name, and Gui on the bench. Roberto, talk us through your thoughts and any planned transfers, mate.
Yeah, so in terms of transfers, I don't expect any this game week because I think this team is good enough to roll again. Dewsbury Hall with a nice home fixture, a Brighton defence that are really struggling. I think in many seasons gone by, I think this is the sort of fixture he could do well in. Dorgu, I think, is interesting. I think away Fulham, I know what Nick was saying about Fulham, they tend to score, but, I feel like their record up at Fulham is pretty good, Manchester United. Their unbeaten record, and they kept a clean sheet against them in both games last season. And I think Dorgu's, attacking threat, I quite like the look of him this week. West Ham, a little bit hopeless up front, so hopefully good for Chalobah. And then we've got Pedro Porro, which is the dilemma. I think it's between him and Murillo, to be honest, whether or not I go all in on benching the Forest defence, because Palace, they tend to score, even if they will have a bit of, more fatigue from their conference game. I think they are just a side that tend to score goals. So it's a weighing up of that, really, if I go for Porro or Murillo. But yeah, pretty happy with the rest of it. And captaincy's locked on Salah without doubt. I did consider João Pedro because I think he will do very well against West Ham. And, people are doubting him. And this is the sort of game I think he could haul in. So, yeah, vice captaincy could well be on João Pedro come the deadline. But at the moment, I think Salah against Newcastle looks pretty good to me.
Andrew,
you've been telling us all to start Pedro Porro, and you've got him on the bench.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 one for me at the moment, Nick.
You just can't trust
him. Or Murillo.
It's mind games.
It's him or Murillo.
Mind games.
The form is temporary, but the lies are forever.
You got to do what you can. You got to do what you can to stay on top, guys.
Why not start Porro over Dewsbury Hall? That would be my immediate takeaway from that. Dewsbury Hall's going to do nothing in a team that don't really attack very well. Why not get Pedro Porro in for him?
I don't know. I feel like
because
Palace...
you can't play 4 at the back in FPL.
I don't.
Come from midfield.
As previously said in this video, I don't hate 4 at the back. I just think Dewsbury Hall is going to cook this week. I just feel like this is the week where people could be doubting him, a bit like with João Pedro.
Based on what?
Based on Brighton's poor defence. I think Everton, the Leeds are a better defence than Brighton, put it that way, I think.
Yeah, but Dewsbury Hall's a career reserve.
Everton don't have a home ground either, so it's not really a home match for Everton because they've never played there before.
Trig, what are your thoughts on Roberto's team?
Well, I think he's a bloody turncoat because like he was advising you to go for at the back, wasn't he? Take Anderson out. He's a much better player than Dewsbury Hall. And he wanted you to take Anderson out and play Pedro Porro, yet he's not prepared to do it himself.
What does turncoat mean? I've never heard that expression.
Traitor.
I think it's probably from
yes.
it'd be a naval term, wouldn't it?
I love this because it's game week 1. You know, we've only had game week 1 and already rent free in everyone's heads. It's great.
Our moderator Podner's saying Bent Semenyo. I'd definitely do that, lads, wouldn't you?
No.
I do wish I'd got Dorgu instead of Agbadu though. I must admit.
Yeah, Dorgu looks great. I'm excited for him.
No, I think your team looks good, mate. I think your team looks good. And if I am going to make a transfer, it probably will be Dorgu and Konza, as both Review and Steve-O told me to do so. All right, lads. So we're going to finish with a Q&A. So please, I know we've had some questions in and stuff. Hi, it seems like go in the chat. I haven't shouted you out yet, mate. Christian. Do let us know if you're up coming on Saturday for the lock-in. Give me a text message. So please do put your questions in the chat, and in 5 or so minutes, we'll get around to answering them. But firstly, this is something we didn't manage to get to last week, which was actually a debate that Darius wanted to have. But obviously, he's not on this week. But I thought I'd keep it in here for this week anyway. So this is the basic idea. So for anyone who's not a regular fan, a regular watcher of the channel, I'm quite a FPL review boy, Nick calls me, don't you? And I call him Solio boy. We're both fans of the analytics, whereas I believe Andrew and Roberto are very much eye test managers. I'm not saying you just use analytics, Trig. And I just wanted to
use them at all.
I wanted to get into a debate about which you guys think is better. The rate my team tools, which is what they basically are, or the eye test, or in my perspective, does it really matter? So I'm going to come to you, Andrew, first. What are your opinions on the AI tools versus the eye test?
I think that these tools are obviously better than the eye test because they're an aggregation of data and statistics from months and months and years that are funneled into producing a figure to predict what a player will get. And more often than not, they are more accurate than the biased sort of people who might predict that Newcastle beat Liverpool 5-0 or something emotional. But I think it's clear that FPL Review is better than the vast majority of humans, better at predicting FPL scores than the vast majority of minds, but I think they are morally dubious. I don't feel if you're using these tools, it's like when you used to play on the computer and you'd get the Game Genie or you'd put on the Infinite Lives cheat. That's what it feels like to me using them. I don't mind people doing it. Play the game your way, have fun your way. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I definitely get your point about fun. Roberto, what are your thoughts on this? Or can you not speak at the minute, mate? Craig, we'll come to you because Roberto's on mute. What's your thoughts on this, Craig?
I'm very much a grass manager. I mean, when I was good, it was when everybody was a grass manager. That's when I was the top dog. That's when I was the top dog. No, I look at the projections, but I'll give you an example. Reinders, or Reinders, to give him his proper name, is not liked by Solio or Review, I think, because they're pretty much powered by expected stats, aren't they? And his expected stats are nothing special. But anybody who actually watched the entire match from Man City would have been completely blown away by Reinders. And absolutely fantastic, head and shoulders above every other player on the pitch. And, that's why people are bringing him in. They're not bringing him in because he's a pick on Solio or a pick on Review. And I read an article by, I think it was Focal today, bringing in Rodgers, or saying Rodgers is going to do well. And Rodgers isn't a review pick or a Solio pick. But I mean, they've obviously, they've got their place, these things. And they will make a bad manager better, but I don't think they'll make a really good manager better. I think they make them worse. If you're a really good manager because you are, because of watching matches and stuff, you know, they can dumb you down a little bit at the same time, I think. And, but yeah, they're a useful tool. And I love tinkering around with Solio just for messing around with all the projections, putting my own minutes and stuff into it and all that type of thing, and seeing how it changes things and everything else. But yeah, they're good. But at the same time, if you're just going to copy them,
yeah,
I mean, what's the point, really? What is the point? I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
I think we could all agree that if you're just copying, literally getting it to make your transfers and picking your team, or is the same as copying a content creators team, basically, isn't it? You know, I think we're all against that, but I'm exactly the same as you, Trig. I think for looking at the projections, it's a good thing. We're getting the attack of the cats. Roberto, I'll come to you, mate. What's your thoughts? By the way, I've started a poll. What do you think? And I'm not talking about copying and pasting your team. I'm talking as an information source. What is better? Eye test. What on earth is Trigger doing?
To be honest,
cat.
from my point of view, I think it comes down to time. So, like, if you've got loads of time on your hands, then sure, a bit of both, you know, having a bit of stats and a bit of eye test, you know, a bit of analytics is probably not, you know, a bad way to go. It's probably good to get a best of both worlds. In my own personal view, I enjoy the eye test a lot more, but also the time I have, you know, if I had time during the week to look at stats and stuff, I probably would. But because I've got more time to actually watch the games, then I'm so more concentrated on the eye test sort of side of things. So I think, yeah, go with what you like, but also sometimes it's just what's convenient to you in terms of build up to the game week, really.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean,
just to interrupt with a completely unrelated point, there's breaking news that Arsenal have made a move for Eberechi Eze, and they're going to gazump Spurs to his signings. I don't know how that factors into your planning, Nick, with regards to
terrible news. I don't think I'd want him at Arsenal, but at Tottenham, I think he'd be great.
Apparently, it's the response to this Havertz injury.
Really?
So, yeah, interesting one. Good for Newcastle. That visitor Spurs rumour immediately debunked. So, Newcastle need to get this striker situation sorted out, really. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. I've talked enough.
Tottenham really need him. Arsenal don't.
I just think Eze to Arsenal is quite an interesting one, because they've been talking about bringing in a left winger, and then they've brought in Madueke, but he's more like cover for both flanks, I think.
I'll tell you what, he could start against Leeds, though, couldn't he, Madueke?
He could. They could start. They could even start Trossard centre forward if they don't feel Gyökeres is up to it just yet. Or Mikel Merino, he did all right for them. It wouldn't be my move, but I don't know. It's an interesting one, that, because Eze could probably, maybe. You feel like Eze would stunt 1 year his growth, though.
Isn't he very similar to Odegaard in terms of the way he plays? I don't know why you'd spend money when you've got Odegaard. Doesn't seem to make sense to me as a move.
Well, he's an exciting player, isn't he? Sometimes people just like to excite the fans.
He's a good player, yeah. He's a good player. Right, so let's have a look at the poll.
Needham Kunku.
I mean, on the left, I think Eze is a cut above both Martinelli and Trossard. I don't think it's even close.
Yeah.
And Kunku would play well in Arsenal team, I think. He'd suit their style better than Chelsea. He suited Chelsea.
I'm going to end the poll. We've got 75% eye test, 25% to tools like FPL Review and Solio. So, Roberto, your side definitely won there. Okay, so do get your questions in. We're going to go for another 5 minutes or so. 5-10 minutes while we look at questions. I'm going to scroll up to the first one. I should have tried the question option, which was there. Haaland, why on earth do you not own him? He is the best player to own in FPL this season. I saw that earlier on because I can't find the question now. What do you think, Trig? Why have you not got Haaland?
Yeah, I'm asking myself the same question, to be quite honest with you. I think he's going to be the best this year. He's going to be better than Salah. But having started with Salah, now is not really the time to swap. But game week 6, I think I will have Haaland in my team. As it's turned out, it's very easy to make a team with both now, isn't it? If I was wildcarding, I'd probably make a team with both because I think Anderson of Forest is very good, and Reinders, players like that, means you can easily afford to make a team with Salah and Haaland. But Haaland looks back to his best. But it's only one game, so we can't be 100% certain, can we, really?
No. Andrew? I mean, you're planning to get him in anyway, aren't you?
I'm considering it. I wouldn't say I'm planning to get him in, but I'm considering it. But why you would go without Haaland is the price. He's too expensive. Like, you can't justify £14 million for Erling Haaland, I don't think. You know, maybe he'll get a little hot streak at the start, but £14 million to match Richarlison is just not, it's not worth it for me. I just don't think it's worth it. He's been outscored by Ollie Watkins 2 seasons running in FPL points, and Ollie Watkins is £5 million cheaper. Now, Haaland, of course, he'll get these games where he looks undeniable, but so will every player. You can make a highlight package for YouTube for every footballer and make them look like the best in the world. But I just don't think Haaland is worth the money. I just don't. And he might prove me wrong. He's already put the question in my mind, but it was Wolves. It's like Kevin De Bruyne scored 4 goals away at Wolves, but he wasn't exactly an essential pick for the subsequent season, was he? So It's the same sort of thing. Like, what can you do with the money? If Saka goes and gets 2 goals and an assist this weekend, Ollie Watkins gets a brace and Jared Bowen scores, and Haaland has a blank, suddenly the conversation's completely different. So £14 million is too much.
So Hippie's got a question in. Sorry, Roberto. I should have come to you there, mate.
That's all right. No worries.
Your thoughts on Ireland, mate?
Yeah. Well, I think to go build off what Andrew's saying, I think it does come down to who you're captaining each week. And that is a lot of money to pay for someone if you're not going to captain them. Now, you might argue Tottenham at home is one of the better captaincies this week. I would argue Salah's not a problem. You wouldn't lose sleep over that. And Palmer, if he had done better in game week 1, would have probably been a more favourable pick than Haaland this week. So I think ultimately there are so many other good assets to own in the premium price bracket that it's not like he's the only premium that's doing well and makes the most sense to captain. And that's why ultimately I didn't start with him game week 1, because in those first sort of 5 game weeks, there weren't enough occasions that I would confidently put the captaincy on him. And we can't be too overreactive against that Wolves game because we expected that would be a good fixture for him. So not much has really changed about our thoughts on Haaland. And, Tottenham will be interesting. But then after that, the fixtures are just, they're not amazing, but they're not terrible either. So I think I'm fine to go without. And as Andrew said, you can own other players to make up those points.
Yes.
Yeah, just sorry, I'm just going to interrupt because Roberto's made a great point there. Just to go on about the captaincy is a great point. And my team, the way I have it set up, with one transfer, I have a captain against a promoted team all the way till my game week 13 wildcard, just from that setup. And I don't even need to make that transfer because I've got Florian Wirtz at the minute. But with that structure I have a captain against a promoted team every week. Now the promoted teams might exceed their expected performance, and that might not prove a viable strategy. But if you're telling me having a captain against a promoted team, a quality captain as well. I'm talking the likes of Saka, Palmer, Watkins, Bowen, not even Bowen, Wirtz or Ekitike if I bring him in. I have quality captains against promoted teams until my game week 13 wildcard. That's why I didn't go for Haaland. And I wanted to live a little as well. I wanted to not be like, let's just gamble, let's just back the same player every week and snooze our way through a season. I wanted to test myself to see if you could go against the grain in this way. Not in a like I'm going to challenge myself like the general does, where he steadfastly rules against it. Because I might bring in Salah at some point, I might bring in Haaland at some point, but I want to see what I can do at the start of the season without it. Because I think, if you're captaining against a promoted team every week, I'm not convinced that they're essential.
So Hippie's saying, if you think you're playing for an advantage, he's talking about FPL review, etc. I question the ethics. What I would say there, Hippie, is that would be an ecumenical matter. And if you know what comedy I'm referring to there, please put it in the chat. Jan ASMR, we missed our link, Andrew. Bench boost game week 2, guys, question mark. Trig?
Well, for me, it's a non-starter because the Sunderland striker is yet to have any minutes, isn't he? So, but it's a good idea if you've got a decent bench.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why are you wasting your wild card when you've got the least amount of money in squad value to get it?
Did you say wild card?
I think it was bench boost.
Bench boost. Why are you wasting your bench boost? Why waste it when you've got the least amount of money in your squad and you've got players in terrible games? Like, it's just not worth it. Like I keep saying, wildcard 13, bench boost 15. Look at the fixtures and look at the team you're going to have, and you'll know I'm right.
It's just too much unknowns this early in the season. Even if you had, we haven't seen his team, to be fair, or his or her team, whoever the comment was from. So it might be different, with our setups. Gary, we've got players like Mark Guiu where you think it's not worth it. But even, as Andrew says, even if you had a great team going into this week, you are targeting teams that you just don't know enough about. Whether it's, let's say people bench boosted game week 1. In pre-season, a lot of people would have had Darlow. They would have had Guiu. These players that they thought, they probably will start. They'll probably be fine. And they didn't. So, yeah, I think information is power at this stage. And it will be really valuable, when we do use our chips around game week 13, as Andrew said. I think that's a nice time to use it because we'll have that info over a larger sample size for sure.
So Claire is saying, I won't ask you guys about it, but she's saying she thinks it's lovely to meet Claire at first, that Eze would be better at Spurs than Arsenal. Dr. David is saying, who's the best captain on a free hit? It's got to be Salah, isn't it? Sorry, Saka.
Haaland. Oh, yes.
Saka.
Haaland, I think. Hang on, let me look at Solio.
Andrew?
I've not considered the possibility of a free hit in game week 2 because what are you doing? What I would say is if you're free hitting in game week 2, change your mind.
I think it's either Saka or Haaland, to be honest. Maybe we should think a bit more creatively outside of those.
So, I've got it on Saka, but I'm not confident in that anymore because I would actually say Gyökeres is probably a better. If you're on a free hit, I would probably go with Gyökeres because the reports are he's going to be on the penalties. He's the centre forward and he's got a point to prove now, and it's his first home game. So I would probably go with Gyökeres.
Would you not be worried though about an early sub?
Not with Thingy injured. But Andrew still could get subbed, I guess, couldn't he?
You could. I tell you what. If I was on a free hit and I wanted a captain, the best captain, I would go with my ender of Sunderland.
According to Solio, Haaland's going to get 7 points. Palmer 6.7, Saka 6.6, and Gyökeres 6.4, along with Salah. So Salah's only the 5th best according to this. And
what
Haaland's
is so funny? What is so funny about going for a striker who's already in form scoring against a promoted team that have just been hammered? What is so funny about recommending him as the captain? Do you not think my ender's going to score?
No.
Not this week.
Well, it's a shame I'm not on next week. Although I hope you're right, because, sod Sunderland.
Captain Esteve.
Right, lads, we've been going for nearly 2 hours. I want to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. So let's
Yeah, we need to get a move on.
Yeah,
I want to watch the Black Box.
You're not supposed to be promoting other streams. Andrew,
Purple Rain.
I know he's on there next week. It's good as it's going to snap him up from me. Podner is saying, have you looked at the league, Gary? I don't know what you mean, mate. Farfel is saying, what are your thoughts on Cunha versus Mbermo versus Bruno? I'm sticking with Bruno. Lads, any thoughts on Cunha and Mbermo?
Too early to
Yeah,
move from Fernandez.
Yeah,
Fernandez is a good placeholder until we decide, isn't it?
I wouldn't move for either of them this week because next week they've got Burnley. So why not just buy yourself that extra week of information and see who produces the goods this weekend? I think Mbermo is probably the safer, but Cunha will probably get the higher but less consistent hauls.
If any of them score this week, then Wirtz's price is going to collapse because he's the right price for people to swap to Cunha and Buemo. So his price is going to collapse if one of those two scores this week against Fulham.
Right, Harry Dawson, I'm going to skip through your question because I think we just basically answered it, but thanks for watching, mate. Gary Rafferty is saying triple captain Saka. I'm going to say if you've got it, mate, why not?
Yeah, do it.
Why not? No, Andrew?
Nope.
You know what? Go for it because I want to beat everybody in this game and become the world number one. So the more people that make terrible decisions like that, the better.
Cop is saying point prediction between Gakpo and Salah by the end of the season. I'm going to say Salah will be 70 points up over Gakpo. Lads?
Easily. Gakpo probably won't even be playing before long.
Yeah. Gakpo, when Isak joins, he'll probably get reduced minutes.
Tyler saying, would you bench boost Dubravka, Reindeers, Estevez,
No.
and Albert?
No.
Okay. Is Albert?
Who's the striker?
Erte.
Oh, the fullback for Sunderland.
Yeah, he must be playing a weird formation.
Alderete, yeah.
Yeah, I'd bench
Alderete, Jonty Alderete.
I would. Okay.
No bench boost game week 2. No bench boost is the official advice of the entire FPL PubCast for anybody watching. I speak on behalf of everyone.
Right. Okay. So we're going to finish there. So sorry if we didn't have a chance to ask your question. So please join. I think it's just me and you, Trig. Are we going to go at 8:00 this week, mate? Seems to work.
Yeah,
well,
we're going 8:00.
Yeah. So please join. Whatever happens in your gaming this week, me and Trig will be at the FPL lock-in at the new time of 8:00 to talk about our thoughts on the games and how our game week has gone. Please do join the FPL PubCast mini league, as Podner has helpfully reminded me there. League code S3DHWZ, S3DHWZ, or join the link in the description. Please do like and subscribe, and if you want to have early access to videos and exclusive members only content, which Andrew will tell you is so amazing as a channel member, please do hit that join button.
You've never seen anybody record an FPL video in the middle of an earthquake before. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one yet. And this stream is done in donation to charity. Any super chats or ad revenue we get from this FPL podcast is donated to them. Mind, who do a lot of great work for Mind and Street Child United. I've already said what they do, but please do click the links in the description below to donate to them directly. Lads, I'll quickly come to you so you can tell us where people can find you. Trig.
Where is it? Let's have a look. Trigger Talks FPL on YouTube.
Trigger Talks FPL on YouTube.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff on there.
Lots of good stuff on there, including you're going to go over your mini league. Oh, sorry, that's Andrew's going over his mini league tomorrow.
Yep, I'm going to rank all the content creators in my mini league and where I think they're going to finish in terms of the mini league rankings.
Excellent.
By the end of the season.
Excellent. And you've got a lot of big ones.
Bakara and Ben Crellin will, of course, be predicted to be on equal points.
Andrew, tell us where you can find you and etc.
You can find me at FPL Nightmare on all the socials, on the Blue Sky, on the Twitter. Although I don't really use Blue Sky all that much. I only go on there for FPL Hippie, and obviously on YouTube. Come along and subscribe and enjoy some of my videos. They're a little bit different, a little bit quirky, and a whole lot of fun.
And you're going to be talking over your mini league tomorrow, is that right? Which we're all in, I think.
Well, I'm not going to be talking about Triggerlips's mini league because I got kicked out because I'm not cool enough.
I'm gonna put
You're
you back in.
not elite enough.
I think I'll put you back in.
Well, put me in as well, then, you kicky.
No, I've only got room for one person. That's why I kicked them out.
All right. Roberto,
You don't have to put me back in, Trigger, honestly. I'm only teasing.
Roberto is off the form. The form is Sampry podcast now, or you know? Sorry, I should have asked when you were starting. Before.
No, recording it about an hour's time. So that will be with FPL Fran. Really looking forward to that. That will be out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So we're on Twitter, tfit_pod, also on Spotify, YouTube, and we're also on Apple Podcast this season. So yeah, if you fancy following us, feel free. And they're really fun episodes. We really enjoyed last week's quiz. It was great banter with the likes of Jack and Chris, and Kanji is going to be back on tonight. So
yes,
for that. Yeah, it's going to be good fun.
Yeah, and I met Chris. Chris is such a lovely bloke.
Yeah, he's a top guy. Yeah, Chris really enjoyed his first fest last Friday, and Gary and Chris had a lot of catching up to do. To be fair, Andrew, and they enjoyed it, and it was good fun.
Because it was you sitting there changing a fucking team, and me and Chris were chilling out and actually having a conversation.
No, it was good. It was great fun, and really enjoyed it. And so I'm glad you enjoyed your first fest, Gary. I think the drink at the end took your mind off the FPL because I think you didn't want to look at your team for that long after the deadline.
No.
So
I think Holly Shan took his mind off FPL. Ooh.
Very immature, my co-host. Yeah, so thank you for watching, everyone. Please please do subscribe, and please do join us at the same time next week for the FPL PubCast, and me and Trig at 8 o'clock on